So here we have section 2.1, and we just want to look at matrix notation. Okay, so a matrix is simply a rectangular array of numbers. So we'll typically, for a matrix with more than one row and column, we'll typically use an uppercase letter like A, and then its entries will be indexed by two indices, and the first one is the row, so we have A11, A12, A13, and so forth, and then A21, A22, A23, and A31, A32, A33. And so then we also may generally talk about a matrix uppercase A with the square brackets, and then we'll say Aij. And then hopefully, if we're really nice to you, we will tell you that, for instance, 1 is less than or equal to I is less than or equal to 3, and 1 is less than or equal to J is less than or equal to 3. Now, in this case, since both indices are the same, we could have written 1 less than or equal to I comma J less than or equal to 3. Okay, so we have that kind of notation. Now, if we have a vector, so something like x, typically we'll use, I know with x it's kind of hard to tell it's lowercase, but typically we'll use lowercase. And a vector is simply a matrix that just has one dimension in one of its directions. So here we would have, and we probably write it as something like x1, x2, x3. And so notice for real numbers, they're lowercase. We try to do that. And for a bigger matrix, with a bigger dimension than 1 or something like that, then we use uppercase A, and if it's a lowercase letter, because it's a vector, we usually put a line over it when we're drawing things. Now, in typeface, they would be bolded. So in typeface, this A would be a bold A, and this X would just be an emboldened. It'd still be lowercase, but it'd be a bold X typically for our notation. Now, and you could also have, so here we'll use a lowercase a where it's obvious that it is lowercase. We can go either direction for our vector, so A1, A2, A3, A4, something like that. Now, you could toss in more notation, and sometimes it, like working with technology, it's worth thinking about it this way. But this could have been x11, x21, and x31. Similarly, this could have been A11, A12, A13, and A14. But if we don't have more than one row or more than one column, it seems kind of wasteful to toss in those extra indices. But like I say, for technology, sometimes it is not a bad idea to kind of think of things, even if you have a vector, is to kind of think of them that way, as a matrix with, say, either only one column or one row. Okay, and I think that is our notation that we need to get through right now. So that basic notation, when we work with a matrix, yeah, I did leave out the one thing is that when we talk about, you know, A, well, let me use a different letter, B, because that way we don't confuse the numbers I've already done up there. If B is, say, 4 by 3, then that first number should be rows and that second number should be columns. So we tend to say M by N. Again, we tend to use M as our naming index for the number of rows, and we tend to use N for the naming index for the number of columns. Okay, so I think that takes care of our notation.